This episode is brought to you by Alumni Q. For over 20 years, Alumni Q has been partnering with higher education institutions to build real, lasting connections that drive engagement, whether through events, volunteer management, or personalized fundraising strategies. Their software is designed to meet busy, accomplished alumni where they are, making it easier to connect, communicate, and involve them in meaningful ways. From personalized event experiences to targeted communications, Alumni Q ensures your constituents feel seen and valued. With 96% of clients staying with them long-term, Alumni Q's active support and responsive development make sure you always have the tools you need when you need them. If you're looking for a trusted partner that truly understands higher education and is committed to helping your institution succeed, consider Alumni Q, powering the connections that last. Visit alumniq.com to learn more. Hey, everybody, welcome. Happy Friday to you. Today is January 17th, 2025, and this is the Email as an Engagement Metric edition of Alumless. I'm Ryan Catherwood. I am joined by CMAC founder and CEO, Chris Marshall. What's going on, sir?
Ryan, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
Doing great. Just hanging out in a hotel room in Detroit today. Looks like you're home in Bethlehem today.
Back in Bethlehem. Yep. Home base awesome. This whole week, which was nice, actually. Enjoyed it.
No, nothing on the road. Chris, not mobile this week, huh? It's nice for a change.
Yeah.
On the show, we talk about constituent engagement strategies and education advancement. And we are live today with our special guest, Ashley Budd from Cornell University. So if you're tuning in to us live on LinkedIn and YouTube, please be sure to let us know in the comment section of the event on YouTube, and be sure to leave a review of us on your favorite podcast app so more people can find us. Be sure to pick up the bonus edition of Alumless by subscribing to the podcast edition. And of course, we are grateful for our sponsor, Alumni Q, and their partnership as a presenting sponsor of Alumless. So thank you, Steve Rittler and the team at Alumni Q. Chris, we're going to talk a little bit about email today, which I think is a timely topic. We work with clients a lot on their communications aspect of their engagement strategies. And Ash, there's no better person than Ashley Budd to talk about email and engagement. So excited for the show today. But I guess, maybe we could kick things off by a little commentary. What do you subscribe to when it comes to email newsletters? How do you decide what to subscribe to? How do you assess value in your email inbox? I have a multi-pronged question there for you.
Yeah. Well, let me shout out to a few folks who are joining us online and chatting in already. Good to see Steve on there. Hey, Steve from Alumni Q, CMAC guys, Shane back. Jeanette Castro, Paul Clifford. But I want to go back to the very first one who threw it in before we even started, Pete Brumbaugh, who's out, is giving us grief already about his Chiefs. And we're Eagles fans here at the CMAC headquarters. So, and many more joining in as well. So please jump in on the chat. Let us know you're here. To your question, Ryan, on email, first of all, I am terrified to answer these two questions while backstage as the expert on email. So if I get it wrong, Ashley's going to come out and say where I got it wrong. But my answer to your question, what I subscribe to, New York Times, the Chronicle of Philanthropy, lots of higher ed ones. Of course, I have Ashley's in my feed on a regular basis as well. But what I started to do was I started to subscribe to current clients' email newsletters as well. And sometimes it is a little overwhelming, and sometimes it can be right. And for me, the decision on how to decide is which ones to choose and which ones to fit in. One, there's it's got to add value to me in some way, because my inbox is full, hundreds of emails every day. I can't keep up with them, so it's got to add a lot of value if I'm even going to look at it. And of course, areas of things I'm interested in and things that are going to help me personally or help the business along, or where I'm going to focus my time. So that's my answer. We'll see what the expert says.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, I think it's a very personal choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
The emails that we subscribe to, the newsletters we don't unsubscribe to, right? That we let
Exactly right.
continue to hit our email inbox week after
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
The brands that we, make purchases from, and don't unsubscribe to those emails after we make those purchases and become part of the community around those things. To your point, Ashley's email is great. We'll talk about that. Her newsletter, Ashley in Your Inbox, which I've been subscribing to for many years now. But let's talk a little bit, Chris, about the importance of email as an engagement metric and for engagement purposes.
Yeah.
So how do you think about it when we sort of talk about it with our clients?
For me, it's in the category of an essential tool. And I guess on a continuum, on one end would be we avoid it, we don't use it. I don't see anybody in that category really. But on the other end of that spectrum, and I really look forward to hearing Ashley's on this, is that there's overuse and dependence on it, where it's the only tool that's used. And I have several clients we're working with right now, early stage on those clients, but it's email engagement or nothing. And that's not a good solution either. So I think it's like anything, it's part of a multi-channel communication strategy, but also a multi-pronged alumni engagement strategy, which includes communications as a critical one. In fact, it's the one, if you're measuring all things in the case categories, right, and you're measuring all of them well, the largest engagement is going to come from communications and likely through email. It doesn't mean that there's depth of engagement there, but there's breadth of engagement there. And so it's essential, but it's not the only thing we should rely on. I can't wait to hear if my answers are right or wrong when we bring out the expert does. I'm terrified with what I might hear, but that's how I think of it, Ryan.
You sounded like you were right on the money there for my book, but let's bring out Ashley and we'll talk to her about it. Hey, Ashley, what's going on?
There she is.
You're making me laugh in the green room here. I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me on. I am ready to geek out with y'all about email. And thanks for putting this engagement metric spin on it, because there's so many things we could talk about, but this one is so interesting. So yeah, I'm ready to, Chris, I think you're spot on. So let's just get that out of the way.
Nice. Well, we're so glad to have you. Ashley Budd is the Senior Director for Advancement Marketing at Cornell University, and she is the co-author of a new book called Mailed It, a guide to crafting emails that build relationships and get results. So if you have not picked up Ashley's book yet, I think I saw, Ashley, you made an announcement the other day that you sold 1,000 copies so far.
Yes.
So I know you're changing lots of lives, Ashley, changing lives with your book. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Email, one of the things that inspired Day Kibbles and I to write this book was that email is just in such a bad place. When you think about your email inbox, it's like, ugh, I don't want to do that. And we had this kind of romantic, idea about email, thinking about when we first got it and the You Got Mail days and the whole rom-com moment that there was about getting an email, and it's just not that anymore, and it's just so ugly. So we're hoping to make it better. Yeah.
Make email better.
Our first title was Better Email, but the publisher came through with the title on this one. We're really happy.
Cool. I loved it.
So where do you want to take us, Ryan?
What's that, Ashley?
Where do
I
you
think
want
Ryan
to
froze for a second there. Yeah.
I think I'm back, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you're back now. You're back.
I'm back. All right. Well, Ashley, talk about your new book. What propelled you to write it, and what should readers take away?
Yeah, so the book is, I think, a fun read. One of the most popular pieces of feedback that we have been getting is that people think it's funny. And we're really happy that it's entertaining. You can get through this book in 3 or 4 hours. So it is not meant to be something that's very dense. This is not a textbook. It is kind of twofold, both what you need in the ethos of a good email, what makes a good email. It's a lot about having trust with the sender. and we kind of break down how to build trust. And that's all about relationship building, which I know our alumni engagement folks who are tuning in really understand. And so I think it is just taking what they already know and translating that to this communication channel. And then the other half of the book is super tactical. So if you're someone who just wants to say, tell me what to do, tell me how to write my subject line, tell me how to design this thing, it has exactly kind of like step by step what you need to do in this very noisy space where we know people are taking split seconds to decide whether they're going to read your email or not. So
Exactly.
all of
Right.
those hacks are in there. And if you want the hacks, they're there for you. But we also know that those tactics are not going to work without that relationship foundation. So, that's the combo. I think that's what Day and I kind of had going for us. We were both talking about email for years and years at conferences. We brought a lot of it to the Case Summer Institute and had kind of been building a curriculum there. And, she's the really tactical one, and I'm kind of the behavioral science nerd. But with our powers combined, we were able to put this piece together.
So, Ashley, how important is email as a tool for engaging alumni and donors compared with other channels? I mean, obviously it's important, right? But I mean, I'm going to go ahead and guess your view is it's the most important, right?
Well, so part of me as the marketing person, I just feel like it's the ugly duckling of the marketing mix. Like it does not get enough love. And so I want to give it more love than it has been getting in the past, maybe 2 decades. I think about it, if I can be, an academic for a moment and think about communication history and where this channel like exists in that space. Email is our communication utility now. Like this is the communication utility of our generation. And that moved away from post mail. And so I can think about, where did I get all the important documents? Where did I get my acceptance letter? Where did I get, bills, information from the government, from the doctor? It used to come in the mail. Now it comes in email. And so we've really switched to this very important channel because it's a utility. And so you can't say it's dead if that is where all of your important communication is coming from. And then you've also saw this kind of shift in the junk. And I've been thinking about my father recently, who used to get so enraged with the junk mail in the mailbox. Do you remember this, where it was just like
I still get it.
It was like he would go up and we had to walk up to his mailbox, and he would be so frustrated that it was overflowing with junk mail. And mine doesn't look like that so much anymore. I still get junk mail, but it's not what it used to be. But that is kind of what our inbox feels like right now, right? Like it's just overflowing and it's stuffed, and we have to figure something new out. So I see that it's really important because it's a channel we have to use. But managing it is now a whole new task. And so our behaviors with it have completely shifted from when it was, manageable. I could sit down at my desk and read all 12 emails that I had, and then I would do my day job with a landline and like human interaction in person. That's not the way we work anymore. That's not what these communication channels are. So there's so much more management that's involved in it. And, the robots are coming to help us filter. That's a new added layer. But so it's really twofold, right? Like we have to use it. We have to, this is, it's our utility. But from a marketing perspective, this is also where the conversions are happening. And I came up through social media. Some people know me and my roots being a social media person and are surprised that I wrote a book about email. But what I found is that social media is really good at raising awareness, but it is not where people are taking action. So we can raise a lot of awareness on social media, but we're seeing 3x the conversions in the email programs. And so that's another really important piece of the marketing mix.
All good stuff. I live in Pennsylvania, which was a swing state in the election, in a county, which was a major swing county. And so my mailbox was like your father's, as you described it.
You have the 90s mail. Yes,
you
got it.
Let me go to, you write about, email being an art, part science,
Mhm.
without giving away. In fact, just so you know, actually in the LinkedIn chat, we've put the link to your book, and please go in and buy it. Let's get her well over 1,000. So we'll plug. You get a plug out of this for sure. But without giving away what's in the book, what are some? Give us a little hint at some of the essential elements that you would say to writing a successful email.
Yeah, well, I think most people who know me know that I'm an oversharer and I will give it all away. But yeah, so the art and science part of it is really making sure that while we have all of these tools, right? Like it's a technology, there's we have so much automation, we have AI support, there's all of this technology that's built into email. But the art of it is, how do you remain human in that space,
Yeah.
right? How do you build a real relationship with somebody? And there's a piece that I posted on LinkedIn this week, and it gets quoted a lot. People like it. It's a beginning of chapter 2, where I kind of like go after the word content a little bit, because the marketers, like we talk about, we need content, and it's just like the least romantic thing you could describe as like, I need some content for my
Need
email
some words,
campaign.
maybe pictures. Yeah.
And right, yeah, and so like if instead we can talk about, we need creative writing, we need, stunning visuals, we need more art, right? We need to feel like a little bit more humanity in this work that we're doing. So if somebody's telling you to write email content and that is stifling your creativity, I'm giving you permission to really lean into this. And yes, the tools are going to help you. They're going to help you scale, but I think that's really where the balance is, and where people are going to win in the inbox is when they can do it both, right? Like they can be human and they can leverage the tools at the same time.
Let's talk about it from a metric standpoint.
Sure.
Why should email metrics matter to alumni teams, and like, I guess, how and why should they be tracked as a metric for engagement? Right, I think it's a utility, right? We all have to use it, which maybe sort of leads to the answer to the question as to why we should track it. But give us your thoughts about email as a metric for engagement.
Yeah, well, I kind of think about alumni engagement, like Chris was talking about, right? Like on a spectrum. I tend to lean more towards maybe like the binary, you either are engaged or you're not, because once we start getting into weighted measures and things, my brain breaks. So I try to like think about, is somebody connected or are they not, just as a baseline.
Yeah.
Are they paying attention to us, or are they completely off the grid? And if they're paying attention to us, great. I know where to move them. And if they're off the grid, I know the other kind of work that I need to do. So just thinking in that like very basic context, alumni that are paying attention to our email, that's something, especially in this really noisy space. If I know that they're consistently opening and clicking on what we are sending them, that tells me something about their connectivity. It tells me something too about what we're serving. But I want to, I want people, when they see, I say this all the time, I want people, when they see an email from Cornell, I want their reaction to be that there's something in there for me. And not like another email from Cornell. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're like that feeling that we get with most of the emails that we get. I want people instead, like even subconsciously, to when they see an email from Cornell, they think, ooh, even if there might be something good in there for me. And yet I have that relationship with other brands. Brands that send me coupons, brands that send me, helpful tidbits or things, there's a reason why I don't subscribe, or why I wouldn't disconnect from an organization or from a brand if I think that there's something valuable in there for me. So that is kind of the baseline of where I want to be with email as an engagement metric. I want to know that people who are interacting with it have a level of connection. And so you have to think for yourself, what is that on a in what kind of scale, what kind of threshold does it become meaningful? Is it just simply opening it? Well, that might not be it. There might be some challenges too with how our email service providers are opening emails on our behalf. Is it that they're clicking through? Well, is that just once, or how, what's the threshold? How many times do we really want to have this interaction over email to make it feel meaningful? Or is it even farther, are we converting people from email? So then instead, are you looking at what are the offers, and are they converting on those? Meaning, are they coming to the website and spending time on the website? Are they downloading something that you're offering and that you sent through email? Are they registering for an event, whether online or in person, right? So I think there's a whole kind of, you can decide what that meaningful connection is for you. Our standard at Cornell for at least since the pandemic, so past 5 years, maybe longer than that, has been, our threshold has been that someone needs to click on 5 unique emails before we will say, okay, yeah, they're engaged. And for me, I can't think of many brands, honestly, that I am clicking on 5 unique emails in a year. So that's kind of, it's not, that part's not science. It's a little bit more gut.
When you say
what
click,
you
Ashley,
feel.
you mean like within the email, clicking on a story, or so not opening it, but actually consuming, what you're promoting.
You almost said the
within
word
the
content
email.
there, right?
Yeah, the
Yes.
content part.
Yes, the very creative content. Yes. So, and I think it's important that they're different emails too, right? So that it's not just going down and clicking 5 times on one, but they've received lots. If you're a Cornell alumnus, you're getting a lot. And you're deciding in 5 different times that there was something of value in there for you to click on.
Do you think most alumni teams ought to be thinking about like the same that you're thinking about, like 5 times? Or do you think that most teams ought to be thinking about any alum that clicks through on one email? I mean, how did you come to that decision about 5 times versus 1?
5 is kind of our magic number. So again, it was all gut. So we do have other thresholds and social media metrics that we're tracking and other spaces that we're tracking where we're saying, okay, 5 times feels significant to us. I would stay away from just measuring opens, as I mentioned briefly. The email service providers are trying to help us. They're trying to help us sort. They're trying to look for spam and junk, and they're trying to help us filter our emails. And since 2020, email service providers, the big ones like Gmail and Microsoft and Yahoo, are putting practices in place where they will open your email for you and check it and make sure that this is something that you want. And it'll show up as unopened in your inbox, but to the sender, if it's me sending it to you, I will see that it's been opened. And so it's not reliable that a human opened it. There is a way to kind of grab a percentage. Right now, the percentage is sitting around 20%. So you can expect, if you're looking at your email opens, about 20% of those opens are going to be from robots and not humans. So not super reliable. I hate to share this next piece because I know it's going to send people on a spiral, but the robots are clicking now too. And that one is swinging a lot. I'm trying to get really good data on that before I write about it, but I've seen anywhere from 5% to 63% of email clicks are now from your email service provider. Most of them, if you're sending to people at a business address, at a Outlook, the businesses are putting this added layer because the phishing attacks are so egregious that they are going and putting in this added layer where the robots will go and click on every single link. And so there is a way for you to try to understand, like, okay, for this chunk of people, they may or may not be truly clicking on our stuff. And so then we have to go to the next layer. Well, are they doing what we're hoping they would do, right? Are they coming to the website and spending time there? Are they downloading something? So it'll be a little bit more challenging to suss out the robots and the humans in the future, but it doesn't mean that building a relationship over email isn't possible, and that it's going to add value to your program.
Actually, let's talk a little bit about balance, because I think that often what happens is we get the commentary, right, that from our alumni that we only hear from us when we're fundraising, right? And so oftentimes we work with clients to kind of balance out the engagement emails that we're sending out, where the point of it is not a solicitation, right? We're providing value in the inbox.
So important.
Can you talk a little bit about this idea and what you recommend when assisting education organizations in determining frequency or cadence or content, just some points in that area?
Yeah. So 2 things I want to describe for you here. The first is, yes, absolutely, the balance is way off. I am asked to do communications audits a lot of times, and looking at across all of our suite of communications, or just looking at email communication, and what I find is nearly 80 to 85% of what we send is a call to action. So that could be an ask to give, it could be an ask to volunteer, it could be an ask to show up somewhere, but we're asking most of the time. We are doing very little to raise awareness about what the heck it is that we do as an organization. Events people do a pretty good job raising awareness because they're going to send you save the date information. But then we do very little nurture. What I would consider a nurture campaign or engagement campaign, connection, cultivation. If you're a fundraiser, that is work you have to do. Very little of that is happening through our communications flow, and very little stewardship. For organizations that have whole donor relations departments, the percentage of communication that comes out that is stewardship communication is tiny. It's like 3% for most places. So we need to really balance that. And if I think about it in those 4 parts, awareness, nurture or cultivation, the call to action, and the stewardship, I would like to see those balance. So 25%, nice, beautiful looking pie chart. And so if you're doing mostly call to action, you got to almost triple what you're doing in those other areas. If you consider all of that engagement, which it is, you got to really think about and that's where the second part of this comes in, right? Which is frequency. And this feels so counterintuitive to organizations who hear, you send me too much. All I hear is this, you send too much email. Let me tell you what the truth is. The truth is we send overwhelming emails. We send maybe a newsletter a month or a quarter, an impact report once a year. Our frequency is so low that when we end up delivering a communication, we're trying to pack everything into that. And that's what's overwhelming to people. We send them too much information in one go. And so you'll find that the Cornell cadence is a newsletter every single Tuesday and a call to action email every single Thursday. And that call to action email is often engagement rather than an ask. It's often an offer. It's also often something of value. And so the frequency is very high, but the amount of content is more bite-sized. It's something that you can look at in 2 seconds and understand what we're trying to tell you. It's not an email that you open up and you have to spend 20 minutes trying to unpack what's in there. And so I feel like that is a real balance shift too, is thinking about frequency being higher, but the ability to consume it being much quicker than where we're at.
Do you find yourself telling most clients in your communication audit world to increase those other 3 areas?
Absolutely.
Or do you say decrease this one and increase that? Is it a combination?
Well, I think so that's a good point, right? So I think you end up needing less of the reminders or less of the panicked emails of we're not hitting our goal, let's send more email.
Right. Exactly.
Send more asks, right? So if we spend more time making people aware of what we're up to, making it really clear, connecting the dots to them, why this matters to them, why they should be connected, then the asks are easier. We can do less of that, right?
Yeah,
and there's not a panic because people convert at a much higher
Right.
rate when they are primed with the idea,
Right,
when
exactly.
we've convinced them that
Well,
this is a
you've
good
built a
idea.
relationship with them is what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
It might be a
Absolutely.
digital one, but it's still a relationship. It is counterintuitive when you first think of it, though. But you're right,
Mhm.
and the right
Mhm.
sizing makes total sense. Thank you for that. That was a
And there's a
gem right
bunch of brands that email multiple times a week, right? And I don't
Absolutely.
unsubscribe. It's just like, are they providing value? So it's
Yeah, or is it quick enough, right? So I think
yeah.
that there's like this trigger that I get, and I imagine other people do, where I get to the point where I'm like rage unsubscribing, right? Like I'm so frustrated that it's like, I will unsubscribe to you right now. Like I am in a rage. And there's a different kind of, like somebody who's just sending me something that I don't need, but I quickly understood it. And even maybe from the subject line, oh, yeah, that's not something I need. And I just delete it, but I don't unsubscribe. Right. So I feel like there's a whole bunch of weird subconscious decisions that are happening in these split
You're
seconds
right.
that are
It could
trying
be
to make
mood
you
of the
decide.
person on the
Yeah,
other end too, like their state of being in that moment or what's going on in their lives might go
exactly.
to the rage unsubscribe happening. I can see that.
Yes, especially if you send me something that's so complicated, or you send me something
Right.
that is, the subject line makes me think it's this, and then I open it something totally different. That's when I get upset, and that's when I'm going to unsubscribe. But if you're sending me something that's clear and quick and easy to understand, even if I don't want it, I'm probably not going to unsubscribe. I'm probably just going to say, no, delete. Thank you for letting me know. And I'm
Right.
moving on.
Really a lot of
Well,
good chatter in the LinkedIn comments, and the most recent one Kim Infante just put in. She said the goal is to never be the victim of Ashley's rage. Unsubscribe. That's a good goal.
and also someone was asking about how to get the emails from Cornell, and someone pointed
Mm,
out that you should make a gift to the annual
there you
fund,
go.
and you'll hop right on that list.
Bingo.
Well, we'll pick up the conversation in our bonus segment here with Ashley, because we have gone over time, but lots of great stuff to talk about here with Ashley Budd from Cornell. Before we do so, we just wanted to mention that our next guest on Alumless in 2 weeks' time is the incomparable Cindy Frederick from the University of Virginia.
Great. She's awesome.
Cindy is the Senior Associate Vice President in the Office of Engagement at UVA, and she is my former boss. So love Cindy. Can't wait to talk with her in 2 weeks' time on the 31st of January. But if you want to hear 30 more minutes with Ashley Budd talking about email as an engagement metric, you got to pick up the podcast edition of Alumless. Thanks to everyone for listening and making the chat so vibrant today. That was awesome.
This was a good one. This was a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley, too. Well
Ashley's
done.
a popular guest, I think. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the podcast. Bye.